Hi, I'm Elizabeth Blunt, and I'm here with Dr. LaFevor for our first installment of our Meet the Professors edition on Viking Fusion. I want to start off with just some base questions to get an idea of who you are. Where did you get your degree?
I got my undergraduate degrees at Rhodes College in Memphis, and then my graduate degrees, the master's and PhD at Vanderbilt University in Nashville. So without planning to, all my education was in the state of Tennessee. So moving south to Georgia is actually a big step.
I heard that in between your education and starting to become a professor, you had a career in boxing.
Well, I wouldn't call it exactly a career. It was more of an attempt to do something out of the mainstream. So I had what was called a Watson Fellowship, and it's a very idiosyncratic scholarship. It basically offers you a lump sum of money to travel around the world and to pursue something that is not necessarily in your career path. So my choice was to look at amateur boxing and the culture of amateur boxing, initially in 5 different countries. This was the idea. I had boxed through college, amateur Golden Gloves. And then after the Watson Fellowship, I had to make the decision about whether to go into boxing on a professional basis or to go back into academia. But I discovered that there wasn't really an old-timers day for boxers. So I figured that academia was the safest bet.
Tell me about one of your favorite college memories.
I would say my favorite college experience was studying abroad in Cuba. This became an opportunity where I could really pursue a lot of interests that I'd had before. For example, I was an aficionado, a fan of the work of Ernest Hemingway. So I wanted to go to the town about 5 miles from Havana called Cojima, where he had set the book The Old Man and the Sea, and near where he had his house that where he lived for about 30 years. When I arrived in the town, I started asking people about were there sites where I could locate things that Hemingway had done, restaurants where he would go, bars where he would drink, and they pointed me in the direction of a man named Gregorio Fuentes. When I arrived at Mr. Fuentes' house, he was 104 years old. This was in December, I believe, of 2001. Turns out he was the captain of Hemingway's boat, and according to many people and according to himself, certainly the model for the old man from The Old Man and the Sea. He was also from Africa, as the old man is in the book, and though he didn't say he directly remembered, for example, the scene of the memory of the lions on the beach, he had a lot of kind of intimate stories that he could tell me about Ernest Hemingway. So to be able to go from a classroom setting where I'm reading Hemingway in the abstract to sitting there and talking with a man who actually knew him and who lived a lot of his stories was a really fascinating moment for me, probably one of my favorite college memories.
When did you hit that point where you decided you wanted to be a history professor?
I chose history because I thought it gave me the best opportunity to tell stories, the best opportunity to study a wide range of things and then to make a finished product out of it based on my own interpretation of the documents and the sources and my own interest. So primarily I was interested in history as a storyteller. And I guess I chose in 2004 that I wanted to be a professional historian.
What brought you to Barry specifically then?
I like the area, I like the campus itself. The faculty here have been very, very welcoming. This is a one-year position that I'm on now, so who knows where I'll be next year. Maybe I'll be here, maybe somewhere else. But as far as the transition between graduate school and tenure track employment, this has been a great buffer. It's given me an opportunity to teach classes that I probably wouldn't at a research university. So not only the challenge of teaching classes that I already have a degree of expertise in, but the challenge of having to learn more to keep up with my students in a sense.
So what research are you working on right now?
Well, I'm a member of a team called Ecclesiastical and Secular Sources in Slave Societies, ESSSS. Never seems to end. This is a project funded by the National Endowment for the Humanities and by the British Library to preserve and digitize colonial documents pertinent to slave societies in Latin America.
So once the documents are digitized, what will be done with them afterwards? Will they go on a website?
Most of the documents, and I think I lose track, but I know we have several 100,000 documents already that are digitized. These are housed on Vanderbilt servers. So this makes these documents that 5-10 years ago you would have had to travel and had the money to travel and stay there for a long time to go over these documents, makes them available to a broader audience. So it's a project that will keep on growing as long as we have the funding to actually archive all of these documents and to keep them accessible. There's no telling how many documents we'll come up with.
Alrighty, I think that's about it.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming in.
Great, no problem. I hope it helps.